if you give control of people's schedule back to the radiologist, they really like that. Allow them to control their read rate.
So what's your best recruitment and retention strategies?
So we don't have any productivity quotas or anything like that. Everybody reads at their own pace. And so that's another sense of control that you have over the work list. So the work list, that's a system issue. That's not a radiologist issue. That's what I like to say. And so, VRAD's the one that controls how many clients they have, and they're the ones in charge of the capacity and demand balance. And as a radiologist, you can only read one study at a time, right? And so if you give that control back to the radiologist, I think that takes all the Q pressure off the radiologist. And that's a big, I think that goes towards retention and recruitment quite a bit.
I actually did a survey. The
Mhm.
flexibility is actually the highest ranked factor, more than salary, the most important factors for people who wants to stay at the job. So as teleradiology becoming so common, what advice would you give on developing people skills in a remote working environment?
Oh, that's an interesting question. So we try to bring people together multiple times a year we have our headquarters is in Minneapolis. And so we have what we call the Rad Retreat, where we bring a lot of radiologists together and we talk about the practice. And then it's really just a socialization. And then we have other trainings that we have throughout the year if you want to get more efficient on the platform. But again, the social part of that is just bringing people together in person. So I think you would have to have that. Um, there's only so much you can do over Teams, right? You can get your social network there. My advice always is if you're not going to get your social network at work, then you got to find it somewhere else, right? So you have to have hobbies apart from when you're working. For most of us, I think you just have to develop a friend network outside of work.
Yeah, for those who are interested in leadership roles in teleradiology. So what are the most important lessons you learned along the way rising to the leadership roles?
Oh, that's another good question. I think it just takes practice. I think what I've learned is to emulate the leaders that you are attracted to, first of all, and to lead by example. I've read the books, the leadership books, but I think until you're in it, and it doesn't really make a difference. I think you just have to practice. You have to, fail and learn from your mistakes.
So I think you hit two great points about one is practice makes perfect. The other, I
Yeah.
think you just mentioned was willing to learn. Like sometimes you just learn better from your mistakes. It's just very unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, you'll never forget them.
So from your perspective, what other key factors keep a teleradiology practice running efficiently?
Well, I think our tech, you'd have to have the technology behind it. You can't be running off of, multiple different packs. You have to have your RIS and your packs integrated into one, and you have to have your technology team connected to your radiologists. There's got to be that strong collaboration. So if your radiologists say, why do I have to click this, three buttons to get this one task done when I could just click one, and take
Mhm,
that back to the engineering team, and then they
mhm,
fix it, you know?
mhm.
Um, so I think that really strong collaboration between the technology side and the radiologist side is what makes an efficient practice. I think otherwise, we have a lot of algorithms that work in the background to like sort the list, and this goes back to the egalitarian practice side of things, where it's an agnostic computer algorithm which is deciding what's the next case to read, right? Because otherwise, you get a lot of cherry picking of the list, which is not in anybody's interest.
Mhm.
And so this computer algorithm is just trying to figure out what's the most important or urgent study in the practice to read next, and it puts that one next, and then everybody just reads down the list that way. And so again, you got to keep it fair for everybody when you have a practice of over 500 or even a practice of 9. You have to keep it fair for everyone. And so you
Mhm.
put the technology tools in place to do that.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. You know what cases are most urgent within your own system. I'm very impressed by your in-house development of the PACS and AI platforms. What do you see as the biggest benefits and the challenges of building your own informatics systems?
Yeah, well, you definitely need the resources to do it, right? We are very much half and half, like a software engineering company and a
Mhm.
radiology practice. And there's a ton of collaboration between the radiology practice side of things and talk back to the software engineers. And so we get a new release of our RIS and our PAC software every month. We develop a lot of AI in-house as well. So, but you definitely need the resources to do that. So you need dedicated software engineers and project managers and everything to make all that happen. We can make it very efficient for the radiologist to read because our platform is extremely efficient to read on in our teleradiology. And so it's one hand washes the other, if you will, and it's a big collaboration.
Yeah, teleradiology has become so common.
Mhm.
And so many radiologists is practicing in teleradiology. So what's the best financial advice you received that you can share with other people in teleradiology that help them grow?
Yeah. Get your deductibles covered first and then get your emergency fund for 6 months of expenses. So for people who are really interested, they can just follow this financial order of operations. And then after you get your emergency fund done, make sure you contribute to your Roth IRA and then your next dollar and your next dollar. And the earlier you start, the better. The best time to invest was yesterday. And so the second best time to invest was today.
That's great. So if you could go back in time and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
Hmm. I think it would be enjoy the moment. I think my life has been a lot, and I think a lot of doctors' lives are like this, where you're always, what's next? What's next? You're always studying for the next thing. You're always training for the next thing. And I think it would be, stop and smell the roses sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's a problem I'm facing right now myself. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, thank you so much for making the time. Has been so helpful.